So let me ask you something. How often do you wake up in the morning just raring to get to work and to go and just really joyous? Don't you think it should be more often than that? Well, salam brothers and sisters, and endaman ararachu, or endaman walachu, or perhaps endaman amashachu, depending on what time of day you're watching this. Welcome to Mission Zero. If this is your first time here, my name is Shawn, and this is The Word with Friends, the show where we take a deep dive into language and communications in order to bring us all closer together. Well, if you watched Battle Cry on Monday, you may well know the subject that we're going to talk about today, but the word that I think we need to talk about today is the word glad. The English word glad means happy or pleased, and that's okay, but I think it loses something from the original languages. So let's dive into the Hebrew. In Hebrew, and I touched on this in Battle Cry on Monday, the Hebrew word for glad, there's actually like 10 of them, but the one I want to focus on today is simcha. And simcha comes from an older word, samach. And samach is to burst forth with light. Specifically, it's talking about the emotional state when the sun rises. You know, right at that moment that it peeks over the horizon and just everything becomes beautiful and golden. That feeling, that's what samach meant. And simcha was an amplified version of that. Simcha is the gladness that David felt when he was carrying the Ark of the Covenant back into the city. He was jumping around and dancing and singing. This is not just, oh, I'm glad for you. This is, woo! This is jumping up and down. This is screaming and singing to God. That level of gladness is not at all conveyed by our simple little English word. The Greek word that I want to focus on, again, there's a few of them, but the one I really want to focus on is galiao. And galiao is made up of two Greek words, agan and halomai. And agan means much, it's like an amplifier, and halomai means to spring up, to bubble over, to gush forth. It's talking about a river after the rains, when the force of the water is just bursting through. This, similar to that Hebrew idea, is about force behind it. So in Luke 8:1, when it says that Jesus went through all the cities and all the towns preaching the glad tidings of the kingdom of God, it's not just talking about, oh, glad tidings, we had no, this is forceful. This is uncontainable excitement. And this is a thing that I think gets so lost on us. The thing about the word glad is that it's become watered down. And I think, in fact, the feeling behind it is all but lost in our society. I asked you in the beginning, how many times can you point to that you were deeply, powerfully, just joyful about something and exuberant about something? Major holidays? Nope. When your kid was born? Sure. When you got married? Maybe. But have you ever had a week that you lived that way? A month? A year? That's what we're talking about here, is the ability to tap that vein, that gushing force of joy. My pastor has this saying that some people act like they were baptized in lemon juice. I go a different way with it. I think there's a lot of people who have been resurrected by Jesus who are still carting around their dead body. I think it's partly because we've lost the context. We've lost the perspective of this word glad, this feeling of powerful happiness that can blast away anything, the light that radiates from true gladness doesn't allow shadow. Bad things can happen, but never is there an ounce that it could take hold. Have you ever met someone with that kind of joy? Have you ever been that person? Don't you want to be? You can have it in 1 second. You just have to throw yourself into the river that is already inside of you. Now, why would you want to do that in this world where sitcoms have shown us that bubbly and happy is sugary and syrupy and stupid and vacuous? It's because that's not true. Here's the practical reason to make that level of gladness your target. Because that is what we all are supposed to bring to each other, is not our woes and our darkness and our problems and our critiques and our opinions, but our brilliant exuberance, our joy, our true gladness. So that is my exhortation for us for this week, and heck, for this entire life. Focus on that kind of happiness. Not this watered down glad or happy that we have in our culture, but the true, rooted, boundless, joyful, and forceful gladness of God. May God pour out that blessing upon us all. And take that, however you can take that and use it to be even you-ier. And I love you so much. Peace out. Where was I? Focus. This is work time. Okay.